So many clicks. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Office Hours. And if you're watching YouTube and you see a little link, you can join the actual Zoom conversation if you'd like. The first hour, I mean, if you're looking here and you see attendees and you see panelists and you'll listen to us, you'll watch this whole thing and you'll think that you know better. You have better input than we do. You might, and we'd love to have you join. So if you see what you're doing here and you want to become part of it, we have people from, I don't know, 3 or 4 different continents here today. So we would love to have you join us. What you want to try to do is have good audio, good video, good internet, or reasonably good. Get here early. We open the doors at 6 o'clock. We do between 6:30 and 6:40. We release the Discord link. That's the link where all of us talk in between these sessions. It expires by the time I announce it. And then at 6:40 to 6:45, we do the mic checks. Once we start the mic checks, we're not bringing anybody else into the panel. So you want to get here before 6:40 to make sure that you can become part of the panel. From 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, we've got general questions. These are general media production questions. We recommend that you ask early and vote often. So really get out there and ask the questions. Really, this is a great, incredible panel, a great set of attendees to have this discussion. So definitely ask your questions early. We'll spend more time on them at the beginning of the hour. At the end of the hour, we're kind of cruising through them pretty quickly. Second hour is usually something more vertical. So that means that we're talking about something specific today. And we know that the email didn't go out yesterday that normally goes out, so we apologize. So this is all going to be a surprise to everyone, but today is going to be Ruthless Reviews. So today we're going to talk about everybody's setup. We're going to go, now we will warn you at the end of 7 o'clock, if you're in the panel right now and you don't want to be reviewed, then you just drop out. We'll give you an opportunity at the end of the hour to raise your hand if you're not ready to have your setup reviewed. And for those of you who haven't done it, it means that we're going to go from each person and we're going to go through their setup and talk about what we like and don't like about the setup. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, you just raise your hand. We'll put you off into attendees. And so we'll do that at 7:55. Later in the week, tomorrow is usually audio. Tuesday's audio, Wednesday's cameras, Thursday's special guests, Friday and Saturday are education. We have tomorrow, we have Mike Moding, and he is a re-recording mixer and sound editor, and he's going to be talking about his path and his process. On Wednesday, we're going to have Chris Summers, and he's going to talk about cinematic camera builds. So really base plates and batteries and rods and rail systems. So he's going to be covering all of that. And it's the last time Chris will be joining us for a little while because he's got film production coming up. So definitely come in, hang out with Chris, and then we'll send him off well. On Wednesday. He'll be back, but he's going to work. Also, Eric Howell will be here he's an old friend of mine who will be here on Thursday, and he just produced a video for Evanescence, and he's going to talk about the process of how it got made and what the production process was like. Friday is education, where we really focus on media and education. And then Saturday, we're going to have two things, education for 1 hour. From 10 to noon, we're going to have a roundtable about the new features in Final Cut and Motion. So we're going to have Steve Martin and Mark Spencer, Steve Bays, and then our experts here, Chris Fenwick and Bill Davis, and a lot of other folks that are heavy Final Cut users. We're all going to be talking about the new features and what we think, why they're useful, and what could be done with them. So that's what's coming up. And if you want to share this, if this is something that you think is useful and other people should join us, the bigger this gets, the better. It's kind of the opposite of most things. There's the link. Don't use your own link. Use the link that I posted here. That'll let them register on their own. Chris, do we have any questions, or do we have enough questions?
We do, sir. I was a little disappointed when you slipped out so that Mickey could do the Q&A. You actually had a wardrobe change. And yes. I was going to mention when I used to work on the Computer Chronicles that every fall, early in the fall, like, late September, maybe first week of October, we would tape our Christmas show. And it looked like you were ready to tape for the Christmas show. Yeah.
So what looked like a Christmas show is actually the Lindsay plaid. So I actually have lots of those. I don't have a lot of, I have some plaid flannels. I was a music director during the height of the Seattle sound. So I have a lot of plaid. But I specifically, my family tartan is red and green, and so it definitely looks like I'm ready for Christmas. And we do wear them at Christmas as a family.
I would imagine. I would hope so.
It fits right in. It's not like, yeah, there's a lot of them that don't, the McGregor's, it's not really not a great one for Christmas, but Lindsay's is perfect. So anyway, that's what I was wearing earlier because I had a bunch of meetings. Anyway, it's a long story.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Bad little aside comment given the wardrobe change. Anyway, so Raul Santos from New York, city so great they named it twice. Any recommended cameras to use with the ATEM Mini, both in the Colin budget and the Alex budget?
Go ahead, Bill.
Also, I've got both of them in front of me, and the Blackmagic 6K, which is the Alex budget solution, is my main camera. But I also have a release camera over here on 4, which is Canon Vixia that I think I got for about $150. So those are kind of two of the polar things. You just want to make sure it has HDMI out, and it should work if it has real HDMI out. I will say that I tried a couple of the really inexpensive cameras that are supposed to have HDMI out, but the ones that said Raspberry Pi compatible, I couldn't get any of them to work on the ATEM. So it's just a thing.
Jason and then Colin.
Yeah, +1 on the 6K. It's the one that I use for relief shots like this, and it looks great. As far as the cheaper version, I'd say the FDR AX33, if you can pick that up used. It's a great camera from Sony.
Go ahead, Colin.
Just briefly, I would agree with Bill that in this context, the Colin budget should be $100 to $150 and not $7. You're not going to find anything for less than $100 that's any good. In the $100 range, Amazon sells a brand Seree, Seree, that have a whole line of halfway decent 1080 video cameras with HDMI out. One of which I'm using here works okay. You can. I think probably Bill's choice of the Canon Vixia is probably a better quality camera at that price point if you want to spend the extra $50. But yeah, you're not going to go under $100 to get anything worthwhile.
Stuart. And then Sky.
In the sub-Colin bracket, look for a Sony action cameras with HDMI out. But one point I think I need to make about the Canon cameras is Canon cameras have a habit of finding the lowest, well, actually, what's the best way to describe it? They will default to a lower resolution to make sure it's a progressive scan. So when they do 1080i out at like 25, 30 frames, it will actually default down to either Pyle or NTSC 480 if that's progressive. It's just a weird thing that we've noticed with the HDMI boxes. It'll probably affect the ATEM, and it's definitely a Canon thing, not a HDMI thing.
It's Sky and then Guy.
So,
Panasonic AG-AC30. I put it in the Makana link. I've been using it now for 6 months. It's a wedding videographer's replacement for a DSLR. It's a real video camera of that era, complete with XLR and it's got good focus tracking and a little LED light that if you want to do interviews. So it'll be a good all-purpose video camera.
Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, this is the Panasonic G100. It's a little tiny guy, micro four thirds. It does have interchangeable lenses. It's 750 with a lens. The lens is a 12 to 32, which in micro four thirds terms would be 24 to 64. But the nice thing is that it can grow with you. So right now I slapped on a 12 to 42.8 because the other lens just isn't that great, but it does have HDMI out, and then I threw the dummy battery in it. So you'll probably see me on this tomorrow because I have to take my 6K out to test a Fujinon lens at the office today. So,
and of course my recommendation will be either a 4K or a 6K. And the reason for it is mostly that you can shade the cameras and sync the cameras up remotely. So my whole thing is again, if you haven't noticed, I value time a lot. So time is my main constraint in life. And so I want things to get to where they need to get quickly. And so anyway, so that's I would recommend them. And all these other cameras will not be controllable from the ATEM switcher. So you'll have to shade them yourself. And if you get a couple of them, you'll be in camera correction hell. So I think that's that's really the place where you can sync all these cameras up very quickly. It's an order of magnitude different as far as how fast you can get all the cameras to look the same if they're all the same and they all talk to the switcher and can be shaded from the switcher. So it's just something to consider in that price point, or in any price point. Go ahead, Colin.
I just want to point out the one glaring underlying problem with that setup is you're buying 4K and 6K cameras and you're only getting 1080 out of the ATEM switcher. So is there a budget switcher that would be more suitable for live broadcast that would actually give you 4K or 6K?
I don't think you really need it. I mean, I think you can record on the cameras at 4K.
No, we're talking about for live production.
But for live production, I mean, I stream in 4K, for some events.
Yeah, but you don't do it through an ATEM.
No, but I'll tell you that I flat out, there's almost nobody that can see it. So it's, it's more of a technology test at this point. 1080p is very, very acceptable for where we are right now.
Right, but then why would you spend the extra $600 for 4K or 6K cameras? Just because shading is convenient? That seems an excessive price to pay for that feature.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. It's not convenient.
No, I don't. You're right. I have no idea.
Okay, let me
as
explain.
A general concept, it seems like an excessive price to pay for that.
Every lens will be different. So when you go into this, when you're setting them up, every time you put a different lens on, even the same lenses will have a slightly different color shade to them, and you have to figure out how you're going to tune them all together. And so you have to get, and the thing is that in all these cameras, all the little cameras that we're talking about, you have almost no control. Like you have little dials that barely give you, you can do a white balance, and then you can do a couple other things. And again, if they're all in one, then they'll all be much closer. If you're getting one that's just doesn't have a lens on it, but then you're really giving up a lot of other things. But if you have a lens on it, they're all going to be a little different. So getting the fine control of getting exactly the color you want for live, it's one thing for post where you can go try to fix it. In live, everything it's the color that you could get to, and you can only get to so many colors on a cheaper camera. And then
you can do all of this shading in the software switcher.
No, you can't shade, but you can't shade it. I mean, you're shading the
input, not the camera.
You're shading
itself.
the input, not the camera,
yes,
and that's a huge difference in what can happen there. And so that you can do like some weird stuff in your software switcher, but not real. And we're talking specifically here about an ATEM switcher, right? We're not talking about sending it into OBS or something like that.
That's the point. Yes, we're talking about an ATEM switcher. This is an advantage of an ATEM switcher, but it has this one glaring disadvantage, which makes it unsuitable for use with these cameras. Well, it goes back to Blackmagic being an a la carte company. They're not providing a solution. They're providing pieces of a solution that don't necessarily mesh together very well.
Well, that solution meshes together extremely well. Like, and once
if you want to pay $600 for shading.
Sure.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's certainly true.
And if you're trying to do something professional, you'll want to pay $600 for shading. If you're doing something at home and playing around with it, you can use whatever you want.
You're doing something professional, wouldn't you want SDI inputs?
No, you could do it. I could totally build a backpack based, like 2 1510s, like what you can do now with that ATEM Mini and 4 of those cameras. They send 2 people out with 1510s and a backpack, and they can go and shoot a 4-camera shoot, and it can all look really good,
It seems like a very small market niche, but I guess I get your point. Yeah, sure. Maybe.
Anyway, but once you get used to, I mean, again, I did hundreds of shows without shading. And then when I did it, like when I got the first 2 or 3 shows in, I realized just the horrible world I had been living in. Like, it's just one of those things, like when you open it up and you're used to shading cameras, like anybody who's used to shading cameras and matching their cameras, as soon as before you do it, you don't see why anybody should ever do that. And after you do it, it's like, you can't take me back there to where I'm sitting there running around in every camera trying to figure out how to get it set up. And this one is this one, and this one's that one. It is a nightmare. And you realize that you had lived in this horrible little box for years. I mean, I did unshaded camera shoots live for years, and thinking that it was total waste of time to have centralized shading, and as soon as I started shading remotely, it was like having paint boxes. These are paint boxes for Sony, production cameras and stuff like that. As soon as you got used to it, you were like, oh, I can't do that show if I can't. And if you had to have a camera that was unshaded for a variety of reasons, you just knew that there was going to be, a lot of extra time. And again, and if you're doing this professionally and you're growing professionally, you will have to get to that point. And getting good at it is it's not something you'll do on your first show. And
Right,
so
but also if you're doing this professionally, would you be buying an ATEM Mini, or would
you could
be
absolutely
buying
do
a
small
4K
gigs.
TV
You could
switcher?
absolutely do small
What's
gigs.
the difference in price for the Blackmagic 4K? What do they call it? TVs?
It's a couple
they call
$100,
it-
but the
It's
main
how
thing
much?
is
700?
but it doesn't have the same key years. It doesn't have. I mean, again, for a compact little solution, you could absolutely
But
do a
does it
bunch
have
of
the
other things.
shading?
They all have the shading.
They all
switchers
have the shading. So if you pay an extra $700, you can get actual shading and actual 4K or 6K.
But you don't. No, the 4K
You don't
ones
get
are
6K.
more expensive. Yeah,
You only get 4K.
Yeah, but the thing is the other thing is that those cameras, once you have a 6K camera that you can go out and do pickups, you can do all kinds of stuff.
Oh, I'm not arguing against the
builds,
camera. I'm arguing
interviews,
against the ATEM Mini. If you're going to spend that much for the camera, you might as well get something that'll switch 4K at least.
You're thinking very small.
Am I?
Yeah. You're not
Thinking
you're not
big
thinking
is buying the cheaper switcher to limit the functionality of the cameras.
No, because the cameras that you buy at that level are the thing is that you have cameras with record access, so that for pickups and other interviews and everything else, the 4K and the 6K have a lot more utility.
I agree. I'm not saying you shouldn't
buy.
buy the cameras. I'm saying you shouldn't buy the ATEM in combination with the ATEM Mini in combination with it. You should buy the next one up.
You can only shade the cameras through the HDMI because they don't have STI.
So that's Jeffrey. A massive design flaw then. Okay.
It's not a design flaw. First of all, that 4K that you're talking about is $1,600. So it is a significant price jump. But the way that Blackmagic has been putting out these ATEM Minis, I wouldn't be surprised if there would be a 4K version coming out by the end of the year.
I'll be there. I'll be there to buy one as soon as they have it.
If you're trying to do something cost effective, you should not think about 4K, because doing 4K well is expensive. Go ahead,
it's not
Jason.
about being cost effective. It's about being value effective. You're not getting value out of the cameras if you're going from 4K or 6K down to 1080 every time you run it through the switcher, just so that you can get centralized.
Except that you can record.
Shading.
You can record at 4K and 6K when you're doing other things with those
cameras.
Right,
but we're talking about live broadcast. That was
I know, but you have a live. When you show up and do live stuff, a lot of times you're doing other things with those cameras, and it means that they have utility beyond what you're doing. You would never want to buy a 1080p record camera at this point, but doing 1080p streams is fine. Go ahead, Jason, and then Stuart, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, the reason the ATEM Mini is being brought up and is not being, set up as something to argue about is because that was the confines of the question.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Stuart.
I just want to address one little point Colin made there about the SDI. I think for value for money, if you need SDI, you're better off getting a Decklink card and seeing if it runs in vMix for bang for buck. But what I'd also like to do at the same point is over in chat, I'm putting a link. This is what I was talking about in the pre-show. That's a alternative to the Blackmagic ATEMs, but it looks to be basically the same sort of equivalent. Like, I've no idea on quality. I only stumbled on it the other day. So it looks like there are already people trying to flood into that market.
I think that they will find that difficult. All right, next question.
Well, actually, Alex, that's the show for today. Thanks for being here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now, the next question from Barry Pasternak from Hollywood. How do I use my iPad as a program feed mounted as a teleprompter?
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
So I had the exact same issue. I had to send program to my talent. I bought one
of those. In a teleprompter?
In a teleprompter. They wanted to see the show that they were talking to. I don't know why, but anyway, that's what. And then we ended up sending them a special feed that had their slides and some prompter bits and whatever else. We used an iPad. We used an NDI monitor, and NDI monitor, it's a download from the App Store, and it has a button that will flip it for you. So if you can send NDI to your iPad, which I can from vMix, then there's your solution.
Yep. Go ahead, Bill. And then Jason.
You also could consider Sidecar if you have a relatively new iPad. And I use over here to do my kind of program monitor that I'm looking at to maintain eye contact through a little HDMI splitter from TripLight. So it takes the output of the ATEM Mini in and gives me 2 X ports, one of which goes to this monitor in front of me.
Go ahead, Jason.
I think Matt's answer is actually pretty much better, but I mean, I use an app that is cross-platform. I think it's just called teleprompter. Whoops, wrong
Whoa.
one. Oh, sorry. I hit the wrong
Please-
button. Anyway, it's
please
called
stand by.
teleprompter and it's on the App Store.
Yeah, great. Next question.
Please do that again every once in a while, Jason. A. Mitchells from Washington says, Alex, Bill, and Victor, can you go over the discussion about multicam and multi-clip and shading prep for editing? It sounded like great
Yeah,
early
I'm going to
content.
skip this one. I'm going to skip this one. I'm not going to keep on refreshing stuff that we did between 6 and 7. Like, I know that it sounded like good content, but it's what we were talking about between 6 and 7. So I don't want to keep on like, oh, we saw something before 7 o'clock and we're going to do it. Like, I don't like, if you're not here at between 6 and 7, that was what we discussed back then. You know, so you can refresh that question somewhere, but I don't want to keep on. This is a pattern that's starting and I just want to stop it. That I, you know, just, you know, we're not going to bring stuff up from 6 to 7 to 6 to 7. All right, next question.
Next question. Vittoria Ray from Portland says, curiosity question, stumbled across XLR to USB cables. Doesn't seem to be a good idea, but are there instances where its use would be advantageous?
Yeah, some of these cables are exactly the same as you would get in an adapter. They just put them into a cable. So they put the chipset that converts analog to USB into the cable. I haven't tested them. The idea of putting all of it in one place is not super exciting to me, but that's what they're doing, and they could work perfectly well. Go ahead, Colin, and then Jason.
As a general concept, I would not be in favor of doing that, except to the extent that you have less physical connectors to, you know, you have the Sabrent device, you have your analog audio, and you've got your USB, and then you've got an extension cable that goes wherever you want it to go of whatever length, which is convenient to some degree, and you know the components that you're dealing with to a greater degree. But to the extent that you have more physical connectors that could become disconnected, that's not so good. To me, that's not a compelling argument to use a cable with an inline chipset rather than a separate adapter. But there you go.
Go ahead, Jason, and then Jeffrey.
Putting your analog to digital converter inside of a cable that is going to be looped directly into a USB device that is also grounded to a microphone is just begging for problems. Be very careful.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I've explored these a little bit before, and the one thing I pulled up this one off of Adorama. Notice how the XLR cable is actually a 4-pin XLR cable. I think these are meant for specific types of microphones to USB situations. So if you're looking at them, make sure that it's a 3-pin XLR to a USB, and test it out. If it doesn't work, send it back.
Bill and then Courtney, real quick.
And warning, 4-pin XLR is almost always power. So don't plug it into a power source.
Or ClearCom.
Courtney.
Right. That was what I was going to point out. I think that device you just showed was for charging your phone off of a 4-pin 12-volt supply.
Which is kind of cool.
It has nothing to do with data.
Yeah,
It's just power.
I thought when I saw that, I was like, oh, that would be kind of cool. All right, next question.
Greg Gibbons says that Alex has talked a lot about various repackaged Zoom implementations lately. Has he abandoned the 8-machine vMix call setup?
We just haven't. We're so busy, we haven't had time to test it fully. The biggest concern that we have is that it's really reliant on WebRTC and WebRTC's choice of cameras and mics. I know that the beta is out, but we don't really want to put beta into high-profile events. And so, the fact that it just kind of grabs onto whatever, you know, is the fact that you have to define it inside, like, for instance, the Chrome browser or whatever, is not exciting to us. So we're still looking at it, but because we need people to use specific cameras and specific mics, and they're not just coming in from their laptops and, you know, everything else, we're not certain that the choices in the full build, the release build, are enough for, and the other issue that we have, and the issue that probably is going to keep on coming up for everybody, is that everybody we work with knows how to use Zoom. You know, so if I switch the platform, I have to explain to a client and explain to a user why I'm using something different. And everybody knows how to use Zoom at this point. I mean, we don't run into anybody that doesn't know how to do it. We have to show them how to use it better, but the ability for us to have they already know it, reduces our participant prep dramatically. Colin.
Shockingly, I'm not going to disagree with Alex's premise because it was about what he wants to do. But point of clarity, Zoom also uses WebRTC. They just use it a little bit differently. What they're actually doing is they're running the video through the WebRTC data channel and running their own decoder built using WebAssembly rather than using a browser.
Yeah, it's definitely not the protocol. The protocol is not our complaint. It is the ability to easily choose inputs and outputs. That the app that Zoom creates makes it easier to do that. And Zoom has, at this point, Zoom's selection of inputs and outputs is better than everything else. And so
it's to your point, the stability is better. But
well, not
just to be
stability,
clear,
but
the technology is the same.
No, absolutely. The technology of the video transport, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
that's
what I'm saying
all
is,
I'm trying to get at.
But what I'm saying is that what I'm more interested in is the buttons that people have to push, because we have to tell someone who doesn't do this all the time how to do it on their end, and the buttons that they have to push to get the I/O. The only thing really missing for us in Zoom for outputs is that the Zoom output can't see SDI out, can't see a deck link card, which is kind of odd because it can see the deck link on the way in, just can't see the deck link on the way out. So if we had a clean feed, and one of the things we really like about vMix is that it just pushes out of an SDI signal. I can just push program out of it. And there's things that we like about vMix. It's just that until they have more control over our ability to take an average consumer who is possibly not a native digital user and have them be able to do this is having them go into their Chrome preferences to decide what they're going to use is problematic for us. Colin,
just a question: that decklink card problem, was that Mac or PC specific? And have you talked to Blackmagic about a driver fix to make that work right?
It's on. I don't think that they need a driver fix. I mean, Zoom just needs to see it. I mean, Zoom,
well, that's
Zoom
it.
can see it on the way in.
If Zoom isn't seeing it, it's because it's not set up as a webcam.
Well, I don't know. Everything else sees it. So, I mean, everything else sees it on the output except for Zoom. Yeah. So we're not really asking Blackmagic to change anything. We just need Zoom to change.
Okay.
All right. Next question.
Next question would be Ken Jones from Seattle. He says, OBS, fast, very fast, super fast. What is it? What does it do? Why should I care? Talk to me like I'm 5.
Go ahead, I'll take this one, Colin.
No, give it to someone else. Let Leland talk about it.
Okay, Leland.
I've been using OBS for quite a while, and it's basically one of the originals that came out long ago. It's been around for 10 plus years, so it's the OG of live streaming when it comes to software. It's very lean and mean, but it's also very programmable. So if you don't have any sense of software, tweaking, then you probably want to stay clear of it, but it's very easy to jump into and use. But it's software resources keep it from using a lot of the CPU and a lot of the memory, like some of the other softwares that have been developed as SAS sites like BeLive and Stage 10 and all the others. But it's also been used and incorporated in a lot of other builds like Streamlabs, Go Live Stream, or Go Lightspeed. There's all types of formatting that's been done to that base core, which is open source software, and implemented in other builds as well. So it's just
you haven't said what it does.
Yeah. Jason,
it's fast. It's just it's very limited in what it has inside of it. That's all it requires.
Go ahead, Jason.
All right, I'm going to try for the very fast version. It is an open source multiplexer, mixer, recorder, and streamer that is cross-platform, and that's about it.
Jeffrey?
For the 5-year-old, take 2 video sources, bring them into the computer so you can send out 1 video source. 2 becomes 1.
Greg?
Yes, just it's a software switcher, and it's free.
You can,
I mean, I'm sure there's other more.
If I was talking to a
options, but
5-year-old, I would say you can use any webcam that you can find to plug into your computer. You can take it into this program and you can cut between the cameras and you can stream it to the internet.
I don't
and
think
you can even add graphics on top of it.
Talk baby talk. The question was to talk.
It's not
quickly.
baby talk. He said, "Talk to me like I'm 5." That's how I would talk to someone who's 5.
What
Go
it
ahead,
said?
Chris. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
And I'm going to address the why should I care? Because somebody's children worked very hard to write that piece of software. That's why you should care. They put
All right,
a lot of
Yes, but
themselves into it.
it's been
All right,
around
next
for
question.
15 years. So while they were someone's kids, now
Yeah.
they're someone's
No,
software.
they're always
developers.
you're
All right,
always
all right, next
somebody's
question.
child,
Next
Colin, even
question.
you.
Next question.
Okay, Stuart Fairweather says, does anyone know of a simple and budget-friendly LAN-based web server that could host a page with a link to a multicast feed from an HDMI to IP box? Good grief, I don't know
Jason.
what any of that meant.
A Raspberry Pi will do that, but I think you're loading way too much. The other way to do it would be a Nook.
I mean,
My
are you
Nook
looking
is
for the
my replay
software?
machine.
I mean, is this like putting Wowza on a Mac Mini?
No, this was
What are
to
you trying to
try
do?
and do commentary at a racetrack, so that, like, I don't know how many people have actually been to motorsports, but racetracks used to always have little FM transmitters, and people used to like grab a headset and whatever and listen to the commentators, so you could hear it over the engine noise. Now nobody has the FM radios with them, but everybody's got a phone. So what I'd like to do is be able to feed our commentary audio out to a link that people could just log in with their Wi-Fi on their phone and connect through.
And you want it to just be
like
audio?
a simple server. Yeah, just audio. So it's just the commentators who are at the track, it being heard over people's phones instead of over the speakers.
Go ahead, Jeffrey, and then Chris.
Doesn't Discord have an option to do that? That's
It'd be
what
hard
I
to
would
get.
suggest.
You need a server. You can't. I mean, you're not going to be able to get a whole bunch of people to download Discord. Chris.
Oof.
Chris.
I mean, isn't this what you do with Audio Hijack and Mukana?
Well, no. We're sending that to SoundCloud. I mean,
Yeah,
and
I
there's a
should
7-second
stop talking
delay.
'cause, like I said, I didn't understand most of his
So what we've done at the Open, we call it the British Open, but they call it the Open, and they're very upset if we call it the British Open. Now, this is for video as well, which is that it is that's all multicast from those are Wowza servers. So we get the video in from their program, and then we make it available in a Wi-Fi network. But it's a pretty dense Wi-Fi. I mean, it's pretty heavy Wi-Fi network. I think it's like 250 or 300 access points, across the whole thing, and people can pick up their phone and just watch the feed. And it doesn't take a lot of server hits. I mean, I think we do have. I mean, I say it doesn't take a lot, but it's video, and I think there's like six blades that are pushing out, but they're Wowza multicast, I believe. And we have to kind of build the network for it. The delay is still there. I mean, that's the thing that you're dealing with but that's all done locally. That's all on the LAN. I mean, it's not, and we work pretty closely with the IT provider, the bandwidth provider, who actually brought us in to do it. And so, but that's how video is done. And I do believe that, I can't remember precisely, but I would say it's 3 or 4 seconds of delay, because it doesn't have to go to a server, and it might be a little less than that. I think we might have gotten it down to 2.5 seconds, but it's still, here's what the thing, when you're talking about local commentary, it is when you're starting to move packets, it's just hard to get very much below 2 seconds on a lot of things that you're moving around, or we've had some issues with it. You can do it in a dedicated multicast network, but you just have to be very careful with that process, at least what we've done. And you have to build it up that way, because the IT folks won't want to touch multicast. so to make that possible. Anyway, so what we found with commentary, though, is that 1 second or 2 seconds doesn't really affect the commentary that much, especially if they're talking about the race, not calling the race. Colin?
Yeah, this would be people calling the race, and the race can be over in 6 to 8 seconds. So you've got to,
Right. Yeah,
it's kind of a special case.
It's going to be really tough, depending on how many clients you expect. If you're pumping it out to rebroadcasters, it's probably going to work fine. But I mean, ultimately, you're going to want to have some kind of a CDN that you're pushing it out to, and just have the box do the encoding. I mean, we were doing audio commentary on hockey games back in 1995 across 2 T1s, and we were serving like 800 clients without a CDN, and it worked okay. But you have to be very, very conscious of your bandwidth usage.
It was suggested, Raul suggests antmedia.io, and it's ultra low latency adaptive WebRTC live streaming. So it might be something to at least do some research on. That was in the he put the link into the chat. So that might be something also to look at. Go ahead, Jason.
Ant media isn't a bad idea, but if your races are 8 seconds long, you're just going to run into bandwidth problems no matter what you throw at it. That is super, super fast.
Well, and again, I think that one of the things to think about is, especially when people are, this is what we found with basketball. Basketball's hard because it's a lot of, basketball is difficult because it's just changing all the time. And the late, if you're 2 or 3 seconds behind, they've already shot the ball. They're on the other side of the court by the time you called the shot. So it's really hard to do that. And so one of the things that we shifted to with basketball was specifically moving the conversation to contextual rather than calling the show. So at that point, the latency can go up a lot. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, doesn't really matter because you're talking about the overall strategy of the show. You're answering questions from the audience, you're interacting with them, and you're giving them context. Those people are in the stadium or in the arena. They see what's happening. So they don't need the show calling quite the same way of each play. What makes it interesting for them to put something in their ear is actually context for what they're watching, about the racers, about the stuff. There's, especially in sports that have lots of downtime. Are you talking about drag racing, Stuart? Or is that the 6 to 8 seconds? So you have setup. So the thing to think about there is you've got all this time. It's not, they don't come right after each other, right? What's the time difference between races?
Okay, once I unmute, that actually is more dependent on the organizer of the event skills.
But average, like is it a minute? Is it 5 minutes, 10 minutes?
No, average in the street classes is they're running a race every 25 to 30 seconds.
Every 25 to 30 seconds, they run a new race?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's only 2 cars down one track.
Have?
Just one.
Yep. Okay.
All but it's so loud,
really,
nobody can hear
efficient
anything
organizers.
anyway.
Yeah,
they're all going the same direction. It's pretty easy to organize.
No, it's only 2 cars on the track at any one time.
Right.
The track's only a 1/4 mile long in a straight line. So it's not an oval track or it's not a road course or anything like that.
Leland and then Guy.
So you're just looking for a live real-time monitor feed of the video and the audio and another set somewhere within that internal LAN, correct? I just want to make sure I'm getting the right picture here.
Yeah. That's why I was thinking multicast from one of the little HDMI boxes.
Well, we didn't even do that. Phil and I, to monitor the wedding in New York, I was in here in Michigan. We had real-time communication through WebRTC using a site similar to Zoom, only it's ProfiConf. We were sending a WebRTC
but the problem with
camera.
WebRTC, I'm just going to say, part of the WebRTC is a number of people connecting to it. So you're talking about
you're
thousands.
just sending a signal. All you got to do is have a link to the page, and
WebRTC falls apart. WebRTC falls apart in hundreds, not in thousands. Like it's just not built for that kind of communication. It's not.
I'm not sure what you mean.
WebRTC is not
Hundreds
built for
of people seeing it.
Like how many people are in the state? How many people are watching, Stuart?
Oh, it depends on what platform you put it in.
Or listening.
You can put it in any platform.
At the moment, there's no events with no one watching because Victoria's in a state of lockdown. But generally, you'd end up on some, like if it's a Friday night off-street drags, there's actually more people competing than there is watching. When it's some of the Saturday night main event things, you'll end up with several thousand people there.
Yeah, and I don't know if WebRTC will work in low latency very well inside of that platform. Go ahead, Guy. And then we'll move on.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's wrong with just using Zoom and then the dial-in, displaying the phone number and then just letting people dial in?
I think it's just I think the only issue is the wonkiness.
Delay.
Well, I don't know about the delay, but because people would get low latency to guys. You could have them call in somewhere too. You could just have them call this number and they'd all be in. But so that could be possible. I think that the problem for most promoters is they want something that you could just do a dial-in. I mean, to Guy's point, you could give everybody a dial-in that is a dial-in to a Zoom, and then you're just giving them audio live to their phones. I think that what a promoter will want pretty quickly is something that doesn't feel as janky. Like that it's like their little app or their little thing. There's a ton of opportunities. It might work if you just have to do it. I think that might work. I think, I think that you could just have a dial-in for people to do that in low latency and audio, and it would work. Apple also has been spending a ton of time on low latency stuff. may not work because it's not cross-platform, but it's something to at least look at how they're thinking through it. And so there's low latency audio, but I think that there's a lot of opportunities for the promoter to brand it. You know, if you have an app, you know, there's advertising opportunities. People open that app, and there's all kinds of other things that they may want to do. Go ahead. I'm going to move on. We're running out of time. Go ahead. Next question.
Mr. George Kennedy from Washington, D.C. says, Alex, can I share a quick process that I'm using for Zoom ISO records? I'd like
Go for it, George.
Morning. So some of the clients that I've been working with, or friends of mine that have been working that I'm on the team with, they wanted to just record in Zoom first and then live stream it back. The challenge was I was just recording on one laptop of the main feed and then record the gallery on a separate laptop. So what I started trying is going out to AWS and firing up right now I have about 8 machines on AWS, and I've been firing up 5 of them for each session, and actually using Microsoft Remote Desktop to bring them into my system just on a screen, and just pinning, you know, up to 5 guests and recording those. Now it's only 640 by 360, but we're putting those in pips on the edit, so it doesn't really matter. So if you're looking for a solution to really be able to record clean 640s, because what's happening in the edit, you have to go in and individually crop those pieces out from the gallery. So with the ISO records on AWS, we're able to just drop those into the timeline along with the full frame 1280 by 720p. So the machines on AWS work fine. I'm able to see all the machines here locally in my office. So that's been a great process for me. It worked flawlessly last week. And these are vMix spec machines that I built on AWS, and you're able to bring them up and bring them down, change the settings if I need to moving forward. So I just wanted to share
and
that
what
with
are you
all.
and how are they coming in, and how are you recording them? Are they
So
recording locally?
Yes, I'm recording locally, but it's on AWS. So with Microsoft Remote Desktop is the only one I found that you could attach local storage to. So as soon as they're done recording on AWS, I'm able to pull them down onto my local system, package them, and send it off to the editor. So it's actually being recorded on AWS.
I mean, one thing that'll be interesting about that is the possibility of, it's already been rumored that Zoom will do NDI soon. You could theoretically have a bunch of machines in AWS that are doing NDI to a vMix, you know, and then recording, you know, in the cloud. And theoretically, you could get at least 720 out of that if they were business accounts.
Yeah.
And so so that might be, it's an interesting, yeah, I like where you're going with that.
And I'm able to listen to with the remote desktop. You're able to listen to the machines also. I mean, I just kind of listen to them at the beginning, and then I kind of mute them because I'm listening to 8 different machines at that point.
Right. Yep. Okay, Chris, you're gonna say something, Chris?
No, I passed.
Okay, let's go to the next question.
Sky says, this is another vMix Leland question. Yesterday, vMix shut down twice during a live stream to YouTube. I was also recording to a 2019 32 gigabyte Dell Alienware laptop. How could I diagnose what actually happened?
Did the software shut down, or did your stream shut down?
I think it was
first question.
Well, we had
Did the software crash? Did the software shut down completely and crash off the system, or did it just not feed the feed out where you wanted it to go?
Again, I've got 2 monitors. All of a sudden, vMix, the interface shut down my stream, and then all of a sudden popped up to the second monitor, the vMix interface. And again, I'm in the middle of trying to stream and record, so I just want it to work. So
I've been experiencing some weird stuff with Windows lately when it comes to dragging the vMix interface around, where other windows suddenly close up and end up somewhere on your taskbar or whatever. I don't know what Windows has done with a recent update. It's the 2004 patch or what, but I'm having to reboot my system because there's more updates coming in again today. So I'll let you know if we can work around that. Usually you can go check your vMix logs. Just look under your document files directory.
There we go.
Go under the vMix folder, and you should have logs in there that you can check and see if an error crashed you out or not. If it wasn't an error, it's more than likely a Windows glitch.
And we did reboot and refresh and update the OS just like at 7 o'clock before we went
it's all
live
coming
at
in
8.
today. It's a new update today. So
Oh.
all right. Good luck.
Next
We'll take a
question.
look.
Next question. We're kind of in speed round
now. That was
now.
succinct. Stuart
round.
Fairweather says, Maestro Victor, Magic Music Maker, is it the PC equivalent of GarageBand? Does anyone know if its samples work with the same copyright-free nature as GarageBand?
Go ahead, Victor.
It is similar to GarageBand. Per their website, I'll put a link up. You cannot use it commercially. So you can put them up there, but once you make a penny from any of that content, then all bets are off.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, next question.
Ken Jones from Seattle again. I have 3 different camcorders in use for Sunday services on Facebook Live. Color varies significantly. Boy, if only he could remotely. Anyway, what does correct video look like? And how do I find a template or standard to emulate without breaking the bank?
It's not really correct video as much as it is the same video. You know, like them all being the same is more important than them being correct. And usually the approach that I take on that is really that I get one camera to look exactly the way I want it to look. You know, like this is the look I'm going for. This is what I want it to be. And then I match every camera to that camera. When you know, if you can have scopes, it's much easier to do that because you can see math. We talked about that last week, but you can see mathematically, like you can see scopes and say, I'm matching the blacks and the whites and everything in between, and you can kind of play with each one. The problem you really have with the cameras is how much control do you have over each camera? Can you really, like with camcorders, it's very, you know, your chances are very low that you're going to get them all there. If you are doing auto white balance, if you have a little camera and you're just doing auto white balance at a location, you don't want to do it in place. You want to actually capture that white balance, all the cameras from the same place to that white card. Again, it's less important that they're accurate and more important that they're the same, you know. And so just always remember that the accuracy, you know, accurate is fine, but you need them to all look the same. And so whether it's you can get color cards, gray cards won't tell you a lot because you can actually have 2 gray cards look exactly the same and your color can be way off. Remember that skin tones is what everyone's really pegging on. So skin tones and your client's colors are the 2 things that you want to be careful of. You know, like if it's magenta and it comes out orange, they're not going to be happy. So the especially if they come out yellow. Anyway, but you know, so skin tone, having someone sit up there and really look at their skin tones is really important because that's what people are going to notice more than anything else. But I would say color correct from each camera in the same spot. White balance is one way to get there. Auto white balance if you have to, but otherwise trying to dial everything in and get all the settings as close as you can definitely makes it easier if all the cameras are the same camera, and way easier if you can remote shade them. Next question, since no one raised their hand. Go ahead, Nick.
I don't think anybody wanted to touch that. Ken Jones also says, Pyle et al. Can these mics be squished to child-sized heads without breaking? Do they remember their shape?
They don't remember their shape. I mean, they're just wire. But the one with 2 ear goes over both ears will have it has like an adjustable thing on the back that you can kind of close it up. So this is one of those, and you can kind of pull this wire through it, and so you can tighten it for smaller heads. The over one ear is an inch too long. They shouldn't have made it that big. You know, like it's just an inch too short. You're paying $15 for it, and the mistake they made was they made it 1 inch too long. There's nobody's head that's that big. So anyway, so you can reshape it. The entire rubber part of it is designed to be reshaped over your ear, but what you have to do is pull it out. You have to bend. You have to find the place where it sits correctly, and you figure out where that arch is over your head, and then you pull it around. And you'll pull it off and you'll do it. And then you need to make sure that it goes down and then S is behind your neck. So it can be reformed. You can also do what Colin does, which is kind of pull it out like a little handlebar and come back in. But if you want it to remain like this one down the side of the face, you have to kind of do a little bit of work to it. Greg, and then Colin, and then Leland.
Yeah, I mean, you can shorten up the arm a little bit by crimping this whole part and making this all much more compact. It fits tighter in your ear, but I don't think you'll ever be able to get it down to child size.
Yeah.
It's just too long.
Yep. All right. Colin?
If you're going to attempt it, I would go with Greg's approach rather than the 2-ear approach. My finding with the 2-ear units was while you can adjust the armature and reduce the length from your ear to your mouth, it didn't allow you to adjust the overall size of your head between your ears, so the earpieces would hang out in weird ways. So and that was my reason for not keeping that unit. I found the earpieces to be inconveniently sized.
If you're buying it
I
for
don't know
yourself-
that I don't know that either are a great approach. They will work certainly, and at that price point, they're worth a shot.
Yeah.
I second Colin because this 2-ear Pyle, it doesn't stick. I mean, it keeps on going up and down, up and down. It is very
I
difficult.
found that extremely frustrating, and it get to the point where I just gave up on it.
Next question.
Ken Jones also says, compare mic bias and phantom power. And this is spelled M-I-K-E, so I think it's somebody named Michael.
Well, phantom power is only on balanced mic inputs, XLR, usually on XLR connectors, and it's usually either 12 volts or 48 volts, and it comes down usually pin 2 and 3. Mic bias is for electret condensers, which is just between 1.5 and 10 volts, which drives an FET that's in the head of them on the surface of on the back of the mic capsule, and that is usually found in it comes in. You'll find in electret condensers there's 2 types. There's 2-wire and there's 3-wire. The 3-wire have audio signal plus 1.5 to 10 volts and signal ground, and that's also the negative for the 1.5 volts. That's the 3-wire. The Pyle 4-pin connector, I think, is a 3-wire. And the 2-wire have the plus voltage on the signal path, and it separates it with a capacitor to keep the DC blocking out of your input. But be careful with that, because if you have something that shorts a tip ring sleeve together with that, you'll short out the DC supply.
Greg, real fast.
And typically you can power any electret from a phantom source, but not the other way around.
Go ahead. Next question.
Quickly, Alex, I personally just wanted to know if anybody on the panel here watched any of the MTV VMAs last night. Their sort of virtual-ish kind of weird presentation, and if they had any comments.
Go ahead, Bill.
My wife and I watched maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes of it. Let me see. So it's interesting to realize that I'm watching entertainment and I know absolutely none of the people who are entertaining me or commentating on it or anything else, except for Lady Gaga, who we understood, and Ariana Grande. We understood those 2 names. Everybody else was completely opaque to me because I'm not that age. As to the show itself, it was, it was what I kind of expected. It was semi sort of COVID era. They did one thing that I thought was visually cool, which was they created a drive-in for one of the acts, and everybody was in their cars trying to watch the presentation on stage. It was a high dollar, high budget, high profile event that I thought did okay for its audience.
Yeah,
so I was wondering if the main stage was all a giant virtual set with tracking cameras, and were the people standing on top of buildings, were they all digital?
It was multiple stages and locations. They had.
I understand. I'm talking about the main stage where they did most of the stuff.
I have no idea. I didn't watch it. All right, next question.
My one-word review was
the one thing that was interesting was every performer on stage, except for the lead person, they were all masked. Every background singer group, 100% masking all the way through it, and that was a thread through the whole thing.
Yep. Next question. We got to go.
Cosmok says, Rachel Clifton suggested in Discord, add the ingredients recipes as transparent image on the side. You cut me off.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay.
suggested upload these to Media Player. I assume the ATEM. Give us a quick rundown on how to do this. Oh, I see what this is now.
Yeah. What you want to do, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to move through these questions really quickly. So what you need to do is go into Photoshop and create a mask or Affinity Photo, and you got to create a mask that cuts them out. And so that they have their own, you're going to save them out as a TGA file. And once they go into the TGA file, you can then add them as masks. The problem you'll have is that if you have to do one at a time all the way across, if you're doing this in an ATEM, you won't have enough downstream keys to do it. So this is a place where if you wanted to do that in post, it's easy. If you want to do it live, you'll need to use software. You would then have to take the ATEM, pass it through OBS or something else to add all those graphics, because you don't have enough downstream keyers to do them one at a time. But as I mean, theoretically, you could build 5 of them and swap between each one. So that there is one way to do it. So you could use a swap which one you're using, and it just simply adds the other piece to it. So you could do it with the ATEM by creating a progressive open, to do that. But what the idea was, it was a really useful tool that Rachel showed of someone using, she's talking about how to make bread, and she has the ingredients popping up at the bottom as like little sprites that kind of pop across the bottom as she talks about them. And I thought that it was effective. The way she made bread was an abomination, but the actual graphics and presentation was great. Anyway, next question.
Greg says, hey, Greg, is there any specific protocol for logo bug placement on the screen?
I would say that the number one, go ahead, Jason, go ahead.
Nothing specific. After 2009, they basically went from 4:3 and placing it accordingly to 16:9. But I'm aware of no international standard. In general, they're semi-transparent and they're monochrome.
Number one thing about them is to pay attention to what platform you're streaming to and what else is going on that platform. So if you do it to your upper in one corner, you might have the live icon from YouTube. In the lower corner, you might have your channel icon. There could be bubbles going across it. There could be captions popping up. There could be, so there's all these things that come into play. So really what you want to do is do a test. And a lot of times what we've done is we do a test to a platform, and then we kind of take pictures, and then we carve out areas and build templates so we know exactly where not to put things. And then we build all of our graphics inside of that. But we have templates for different platforms that I should probably, anyway, so they changes all the time. Like we haven't done it recently because we haven't had to, but the platforms change. So you have to pay attention to it every day, because you'll put something up that worked last week and it doesn't work this week. Go ahead, Chris, and then Sky, real quick.
Bonus question. Does anybody know the origin of the transparent bug and where it came from?
No.
Character inserters were cheaper than encoding satellite transmission. So CNN started putting a bug in all of their transmissions from around the world so people wouldn't steal their footage.
Oh, there you go. Very good. Yeah.
You could buy a character inserter for much less than you can encode satellite transmissions.
And what's funny is that the first, or not the first, but we got 9 Blackmagic switchers, little production switchers, the ones that were like 1U that had fins on the back or whatever. We bought 9 of them for one show just because they were the cheapest way to insert a logo. Like it was literally $1,000 each. We did a lot of research, and this was 8 years ago. $1,000 each was the cheapest way to insert a really high quality logo. Was just buying an ATEM switcher, and then we used them for everything. Sky.
The end distributor often will have a grid for you, Greg, and ABC would often provide us where their logos and other animations were going to happen and where it was safe to put other items.
Yep. Next question. We're gonna go a little heavy, and then we'll go into the reviews in a second.
Okay. Is there a way to do real time or near real time markup of a participant's video image in Zoom, preferably PC compatible?
Go ahead, Guy.
Yeah, I'd say a quick way is just to do share screen on a second PC. And so stream out to Zoom, and then, or stream out of Zoom to YouTube, and then open that on a PC and hit share screen. And you can annotate over the top of that share screen while it's playing. That's the easiest, cheapest way. There's going to be a little bit of a delay. So you just take a PC, open up YouTube on it, and then like I could do it right now if I had a second machine, but basically with share screen, anybody can now annotate over the top of it if it's turned on. So that's a simple, real cheap way to do it. Probably the cheapest, simplest way without hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question.
Next question from Jonty. He says, hey folks, how can I do a virtual sound check on a digital mixer?
Go ahead, Jason.
As succinctly as I can, get a tone generator and check your channels.
And Jonty, can you explain to us a little bit more about what you're trying to do there? Oh, you're still muted. I'm not sure if you can get unmuted there. Oh, there you go.
Okay, there you go. Sorry, I'm first going to remove my mask. So I was trying to mean on, you see, like on Allen and these digital mixers. Is there a way how can I do a virtual sound check?
Well, one of the things to know about the some of the digital. Do you know what mixer you're using?
Yeah, it's Allen and his GLD80.
Okay, Mickey.
Yeah, for virtual sound check, first you would need to somehow establish a multi-track connection from your computer to the board. Ideally a digital, some sort of digital connection. And after that, you would need a multi-track recording of the band with the same miking and same audio chain that you would have in your live setup. And then you can play that multi-track recording from your, say, DAW, so whatever program you use, play that out into the board, and then you can do your like a rough EQ and compression pass and get it as close as possible to the actual sound you would get from your live setup. And that would give you a starting point, at least that's closer to what you would end up doing in the live situation.
Does that make sense, Jonty?
It's kind of making sense, but I got one more question. Mickey, I'd like to know, are you a sound engineer or multimedia artist?
I'm an engineer.
Audio engineer. Okay, nice to meet you.
And Jonty, are you on Discord with us? Have you joined our Discord?
Yes.
Because you can find Mickey there.
Yeah,
if you want to ask him more questions.
All right.
Please contact him, and I'm sure he can work through that with you. Thanks for the question.
Right. Okay, welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Next question.
Ken Jones again says, total misinterpretation of my question. I'm talking about the options titled very fast, super fast, and fast. What do these choices have on output, stream, and system utilization? Sorry for the confusion.
Got it. Okay, Leland.
I backed up and took a look at what he was referring to, and yes, there is an answer for that. I'll leave a link. It's basically the speed and ability of the processing encoder to function and take away any extra use from the CPU. The faster you set that, the more use is used on the encoder and less on your hardware. So you got to be really careful with tweaking that setting. Its default is very fast, and if you want to change that, you could very much affect your stream. So I'll give a link so you can see how that affects the stream in general and go from there.
Jason?
I mean, Leland's answer succinctly was pretty much perfect. So if you want to wrap up, go ahead. I could give you one more sentence, which is, it's the efficiency with which the encoder throws away or keeps pixels.
Great. And the last one from Ken Jones. Go ahead.
Need a clear that is short explanation of the terms mic bias voltage.
Go ahead, Bill.
So all of these electret condenser mics to function need a very, very tiny charged field around the diaphragm. So the mic bias voltage is applied down to that so the mic will function. It's a very, very small bit of current, but it's needed for the mic to work.
There you go. All right. So now we are shifting gears. Now, so we're going to give everybody a warning here. We are going to go through and we're going to go to each person's window and we're going to review their setup and how they look and everything else. If that's not something you want to do, then you should raise your digital hand or your physical hand and say, put me back to attendee. So if anybody here doesn't want to do it, you don't want to do it, Chris, you're out of here.
Well, I mean, we've done it a lot already with me, so I don't want to take time.
He's sensitive. Chris is sensitive.
Oh no, I don't care. I've been
No,
judged
no,
all
you
my
can stay,
life.
Chris. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, I'll
So-
stay. I'll stay.
So yeah, if you, but anyway, so we're just going to talk through each one. It's called a ruthless review because we're not trying to be nice. We're trying to help you think through that process. So so if you so you can ask to be dropped out going once. Go ahead, Mickey. You don't want to be in it?
Roscoe sent me a message saying he wants to be reviewed.
Oh, is he in? Does he have his
he
hand
has
up?
his-
Okay.
He can take my
Yeah.
spot then.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's fine. We can bring him in.
Go ahead and drop me, Mickey. I got things I got to do.
And Stuart, you're tapping out.
No, I'm going to suggest that Janti gets a pass because it's his first time in the panel.
No, he's decided he's here, he's not here. He just has to decide whether he wants to be here or not. He's good to go. Look at him. He's there. He's ready. So I think it's all good. If he so we're gonna go through each one of these. So let's get started. I'm gonna go in the order that I see everybody. I know it's a slightly different order than everybody else, and then we'll go from there. Let's start with Phil. Phil, let's.
Wait, we should start with you. You're the first one. You're
Am
upper
I the first
left.
one? Oh, see, I'm
You're
not upper left
left.
for me. For me, I'm not. So
Oh,
I'm,
okay.
I'm second to upper left.
That's weird. The seconds. Okay.
I think everybody's always second to upper left for themselves.
Yeah.
So it looks good. Now, what are you using for a camera?
I've got a Sony Micro Four Thirds A6600.
Yeah, looks good. You've improved the reflection on your glasses.
Yeah. And I do that with night mode on the so my screens aren't white. So if I were to put a white screen up, here I'll show you. Boom, you see stuff, right?
Right.
But when I go to night mode, it reverses everything, so it's all dark mode.
Okay, there you go. I like the background. A little blown out on one side, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it depends on the day, right? I sit there and I tweak the blinds a little bit depending on the day, and that could be closed a little bit more.
And then I like what you did with the mic. So that you're using the mic that
The
is
Pyle.
the Pyle. And what you did is to handle the extra length, you bent it straight down.
Gave it a little bit of an extra S curve.
Can you turn a little bit so we can see it? There you go.
Oh,
That's
give it
actually
a little
pretty
bit of a
efficient way.
bend. It comes in from a little bit of a lower angle, but then it still comes up. So it just shortened it a little bit.
That actually works pretty well.
Gentle
Yeah, I like that.
bend. Yeah.
Any other comments from folks?
No, I was going to mention the window, but I think I got the same problem in here that as the sun moves, you can never get a window perfect unless you completely treat it. So that's just a very.
But
good
I have
to deal
put
with.
gel on those windows behind me so that the color's a lot better.
Did you try the Venetian blind partially closed? And
I can tweak that. What I really need is a little Stream Deck control so I can micro control it while I'm working on that.
There are some. Renee Ritchie has some where he's got some windows or some kind of blind system that he can
Yeah,
just push a button.
electric blinds cost less than an ATEM Mini.
Yeah, I saw a retro kit. You can sit in sort of retro.
Yeah, go ahead. If you really want to go all the way down the path, they do have ones that'll change the density of the darkness
the
to it.
translucency of
the
glass.
You got to. That's a 3M. It's got the LCD in.
Yeah, we highly recommend it.
That'll cost you $20K per Windows.
Right,
Go for it, man. We're expecting to see it. All right, go ahead, Sky. Go ahead, Sky.
Well, I'm just curious about the image in the background. I know in network TV, we would always have to blur out images. So your artist is going to come back to you and ask for their permission to show that photo.
The artist knows that it was put there on purpose from the artist.
There you go.
Yeah.
The only other thing I say for the color, it feels like you're a little pink. Like just a little pink.
So one of the things I'm doing here is I'm changing. Watch this. Does that change at all?
A little. Not
At all?
much.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Part of that is just the warmth coming off of my desktop, and depending on the color.
But it feels just a little. It feels like a little reddish.
A little warm.
Yeah, a little red. Not warm, but reddish.
You
I'm
know,
wondering if I
Do
can
you-
change here.
I
Can I
love
play?
when you look straight into the camera. It's you're right there with me, and that's my challenge. Is this whole where is the camera?
Well, one of the
versus
things
where
that's
I-
nice about the A6600, it's got an LCD screen that flips up off the back.
There you
So I
go.
can look straight into the. It's basically teleprompter angle.
But you're looking
off
at
the
yourself.
lens. Yeah, I'm just looking at my, and I prefer to look at myself when I'm talking because
So do I.
it subliminally. It's not like an ego thing. It's like I want to kind of know what I'm being looked like.
Mine's an ego thing.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I'm next.
Hey, wait,
Go
wait,
for
one
it.
one quick
What-
thing on the color. Watch this. I'm changing the it gets brighter, but this
It
I'm
gets
changing
brighter,
the
but-
color temperature of. I can dim it more. This is an Elgato key light that I'm playing with.
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's a light thing. I really think
Okay.
it's a color of the.
I think it's red sat.
Yeah, it's like
magenta green, maybe. Is it?
yeah,
like,
but
Can I
it's
change that in? Is there? There's not really a LUT
Sony-
in the.
I don't
in
know.
the
Yeah, I don't know
camera.
what. If only you could shade the camera from the switcher.
If only. All right. I'm putting in my order tonight. All right.
The question
All
is,
right.
do you want to spend the $700
Shut up.
on a camera or on
He's already
automatic
got an ATEM
wine?
switcher. He's already got an ATEM. Yeah, exactly. All right, okay.
Guy Cochran has 3 more kids that need to go to college.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right. So, all right, I'm up. What's up?
You need a haircut, Alex.
I do. That
your
that's
Yes,
hair
but
key
until
is
you
Your
perfect.
do,
shot
But it's got
looks
a good hairline.
Your shot looks exceptionally good. I've been remarking on it to myself lately. Color is really good. Hair detail is fabulous. I mean, you've got your
It's
lit
a great key, isn't it?
Well, yeah. But even the little things I see are like when you added that soft backlight behind you, your shoulder definition, even with a blue shirt against a blue background, is utterly acceptable. I can see your shape, so I think you've got that spot on.
Mm-hmm.
You got pillar boxes.
I have pillar boxes.
Really? I don't.
You don't see that?
boxes.
Well, I see it when I
don't
go full screen, but I don't think it's
On
no,
my
I don't think
second
it's-
screen.
I don't see it on full screen either.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't-
my
I don't think
maybe I'm just seeing it on my. All right, never mind.
Your Zoom. is
Forehead
out
glow
of-
is significantly improved.
it's
Yeah, so
useful.
I did
Not
the
glow,
fix.
yeah.
The fix for that was that I had I had 2 of those mix 60s right in front of me, trying to get enough light, and it was just too. I was getting all this highlight right here, and so what I did instead is I now have these little Nanlite Forza 60s, which are little spotlights, and I put just a big bounce card in front of me. And so when I say a bounce card, I mean I went to Target and bought a piece of cardboard, a white cardboard. I think it's for science projects. It like folds open. Anyway, so I put that up there, and then I just pushed those 2 of them right at it, like on either side of it. Now I ordered a larger one because now I want more softness. But that's where I put it, and it seemed to definitely improve that front part there. Go ahead,
But
Stuart.
this is a no makeup day.
No makeup. Here, I can
Cool.
put the makeup on if you want.
No, it's well. I mean, by
You don't need it.
comparison, maybe
You don't
but
need it.
It looks
Forehead
pretty
will
good.
disappear.
Yeah,
it looks
no,
pretty
so
good.
It's
no
a
makeup.
marked improvement from the lighting you had before.
Yeah. No, I think that it's. I think what I need is a big bank that just goes all the way around. I'm getting
Talk about the
closer.
level of your uplight that you've got for your blue effect.
It's set pretty low. Let me see.
Is that just a single bulb, or did you say that was a strip?
It's this guy.
Oh, okay. Of course, it's an
It's a
Alex,
bulb.
right?
Well,
It's 2 Alexes.
So the thing is
overkill.
this is what I was using in front of me, and so I already had it. Like I didn't have to buy anything new. So and they have this Nanlite, this mixed panel 60 has a bunch of colors you can put into it, and so it's at 90%, so it's pretty close to all the way up. But then it's got a diffuser on the front. I do have some cheaper like DJ lights that I'm going to try. I meant to do them over the weekend. Because this one,
see, if it were me, I would go with how cheap can you go to get the same or close to the quality effect. But I wouldn't. I don't think it would be reasonable to ask you to do that.
No. So this was actually the cheap solution because I already had it. So I have some DJ lights. Those little LED lights that you would use. I will admit that when my kids and I do when we do, I know you never think that I would take anything over the top. But when we do lip sync at home as like a Sunday evening fun thing, I have a smoke machine and DJ lights, and They look great.
What was
Kids enjoy
Fenwick's
it.
phrase? Driving
Anyway.
a tank. So you're driving
Yeah,
a
yeah,
tank.
exactly.
To the
So I
venue?
was gonna grab one of those lights and put it up there. And so they're not that expensive. It's a cheap way to have a lot of fun for complete silliness. Anyway, go ahead.
Do you
Stuart,
have the mirrored ball?
We got to move past me though. Yeah, I do have a mirrored ball. Stuart and then Jason.
Okay, one for both Phil, one for both Alex. Phil, when you showed your screen before, on your second screen, have you tried clicking and dragging the window to resize it and see if the black bars go away? Yep, there we go. And for Alex, with the saying about the lights going across everywhere, and yes, I just elbowed my microphone, so I apologize to everyone's ears. I've just put a link in the chat for something that a friend noted early in the week. And I think I mentioned it last week. That is a 3-color panel that would normally go in the roof of an office building, but they're saying it does 4,000 and 6,500 Kelvin. So I'm thinking across the wall behind my monitors instead of my lights that I've got at the moment.
Oh, interesting.
They're like 30 millimeters deep.
Right.
So they could literally be stuck to a wall in a place where you've got limited space.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
They also do a 60 by 60 centimeter one.
Those are the lights that I've seen at Costco.
Yep. Yeah. Oh no, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you, Jason.
I had to check it again and actually look at it in scopes. I wonder if you have a keyer on, because there is an extremely subtle green hue on your hair, and I had to check it on a reference monitor because I'm like, there's no way. It's so subtle.
There's no key. There's no keyer available. So
am I the only one that's seeing that, or am I just losing it?
Those are the grays.
Yeah, just my gray. I think it's my gray hair picking up some stuff. I don't
Jason,
see it.
gray hair was supposed to turn blue.
If it's a subtle,
green. Of course,
if it's a subtle
this
edge,
is what
it could
happens
be-
when you're in
I don't-
production.
my
Your
sharpening
gray
may
hair
not-
is turning green and not blue.
Right. My sharpening may not be completely off, so there could be a slight halo there from that.
It's not the green version of purple fringing, is it?
I don't think so.
No, it's not.
Anyway,
it's
okay,
so subtle that it might just be a
we're-
bad reference.
Yeah. Jason's next. Thoughts. Black levels don't seem. Your black levels don't. It looks really good. The black levels aren't quite black.
Are they too low?
You have a little bit. You have probably like 5% of your blacks aren't getting.
Need more contrast.
There you go. Woof. You don't want to go too far on that. You don't want to start crushing stuff, but it was just like a little low contrast from that you no longer have. Let's see.
Then up your exposure.
Yeah, you could probably bump the exposure just a touch now.
Ooh,
there we go.
Nice.
Oh, now it feels like I don't have black levels anymore. Like, what are you moving? What are you moving? Are you moving lift?
Oh, I'm shading in the camera. You know, that thing that is not worth $700.
Right. No, but I'm saying, are you changing the lift on to do?
So I started with lift, and now and that last move was gain.
Right. So I'd push the lift again, push down the lift just a touch.
Okay.
Okay, that's good.
A little more?
Oh, no, that's good. That's good. And again, when we talk about shading the camera, he's doing it while he's sitting there. Whereas if you weren't shading the camera, he'd be running to the other side of it, making some changes and running back. All right, Phil.
Yeah, I think you're 99.7% there, Jason. The only thing I would do if I had a Chris Summers or Alex budget would be give you a little bit of a rim light, a little bit of a hair light to separate you.
I've got a kicker. I just didn't turn it on today.
Yeah.
We caught him off. We caught him off.
You're 99% there.
Yeah, it looks good. Any other comments? Okay,
I was curious about the shadowing in the backdrop, and that's just because he's got to be like 2 feet away from his or less.
Yeah, the shadowing I actually kept because I like it. I mean, I could wipe it out with one of these guys, but I actually kind of like it.
Up on the back wall. Okay. Copy that.
It's one of those things that if you don't have any of it, I would love it to be a little softer. It's one of those things. If it's not there, it'll feel like he's just keying over gray, and if it's too much there, then it feels like he's right up against a wall. So I think that there's this kind of happy medium of figuring that out. I might try to get a little further away from that screen, but
I mean, I could also use a longer lens, but I
don't think the lens. I think it would just be just a little Yeah, that'd be it.
And you're
Go ahead, Sky.
notorious for that off angle, that 1/3. You're off on that third side, and you're always kind of looking sideways. I don't know.
That's
I'm
true.
just eye level. I'm just always looking at eye level and as close to the camera as looking into the. That's a thing I'm aspiring for.
Okay, next victim is Colin. Comments?
Yeah.
I'd love to get that mic cable behind your back rather than in front of it to start.
Hang on,
Like it's all,
1 second. Something has popped up here. Host has spotlighted.
yeah, Mickey spotlighted you. So
Yeah,
we're
but
all
then it
looking
said
at you in
unmute
close-up.
myself, which is weird because I was unmuted already. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry. You said,
It'd be
do
good to
what?
get the mic cable behind you, behind your ear,
Oh,
behind your
sure.
shoulder.
Yeah. Well, that's you know.
No, we're just picking. Go ahead, Jason.
No, that's fair. I was assuming you were going to go after the lighting and the fact that I've not
I'm just
come
getting
up with a
started.
halfway decent what.
I'm just getting started.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, Jason, go ahead, Jason, and then Stuart.
The red sat looks wrong.
It is wrong.
The mids look wrong.
Right. If only you could shade the camera.
Wrong. I came up with something that was halfway
I
decent.
wasn't gonna
and this
say
is,
that,
this is
Alex,
the, this is the argument in favor of Alex's setup, where you spend $700 on a camera, on a 4K camera, and then take only 1080p out of it.
I spent so much more than that, Colin. You don't even want to know.
I know that, but
anyway,
my point is this. All right, so I came up with something that I considered acceptable and left it at that.
Minimally acceptable.
Yeah, you know, but I left it at that because this stupid remote does everything for this camera except white balance.
And you wouldn't need that remote if you could shade the camera.
Yes, I agree. That's true. But it's very effective, except in the area where I need it to be effective. So
all right,
my problem is I have tables, but all the way across my area, I have to.
Yeah, it's
walk
pretty
like 8
inconvenient,
feet
isn't it,
around
Colin?
these tables
Super
in order to
it would be
adjust
super
the camera.
inconvenient, wouldn't it, to not be able to
I
shade from where you
agree.
were?
No,
It'd be
I
super
absolutely
inconvenient.
agree. But the point is, my carrying is this small, so
right.
I came up with something that halfway worked and stuck with it. But
all right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And I'd be interested in your input on assuming that I have a camera that one cannot remotely adjust.
So here's the other
What
thing.
is a good starting point? I mean, I've got an in-camera monitor. Where should I position? Where should I? Set the fixed contrast and lighting and so on, so that I can turn off automatic. Everything, all the automatic stuff, and
you got to
come up
figure
with
out what
a
your
fixed starting point, and then adjust.
Right. You got to figure out what color your lights are. What is the temperature of your light? If you're so once that temperature is there, you want to set the camera to that temperature to start with, and then you're going to want to start playing. I don't know how much control you have on the camera as far as what you can do with it. As far as
not
could be
very
minimal.
much.
Yeah, so
minimal. I mean, I've got white balance, hue, contrast.
I mean, the bigger thing is that
that's about it.
The two biggest things that I would recommend is that I would have more key light. You're just underlit as a key, and then secondly, I would
front facing or behind from behind.
No, from front facing.
Key light,
I would
front,
more key light.
front.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the background now, but I would do that. And then if you're going to do a key for a background, I would get the background should always be softer than the foreground. So your background right now is sharper than your foreground.
Yeah.
And that happens in insert studios all the time. Like you watch this on Sunday morning, and you will constantly see a sharp background because they just put a plate back there, and the person is softer than the background, and you're like, it just looks like you're out of focus. So
I've got more light that I can put here for a key light.
So I would increase the key light, and I would, if you're going to keep that background, just blur it, and it'll look better. It'll just if you improve the key, and then you blurred the background so that it's softer than you are, you would go a long way to having this, because people won't notice that you're not getting a super sharp image from your webcam, but people won't notice that if the background is
softer,
more blurry than you. That's the key is just to move it forward. Jason, and then Stuart.
I would say grab Centimeter for the iPhone or iOS, and a gray card. If you want to know where to start, this is the best. This is your best friend.
Centimeter is the app you said?
Yes.
Or Centimeter 2.
Centimeter 2 is that's the newer version.
Because I looked for a
Alex,
couple of those, and I couldn't figure out what the best one was for Android.
Alex turned me onto this years ago, and it's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stuart.
Okay.
Okay, the things that have been bugging me, yes, the background being in focus has been bugging me the whole time I look at it, but I also look at the details across the cheek and forehead and what have you, and I wonder if the bit rate of the camera is way too low because it looks like it's blotching the colors to my eyes. When I have a look at the edge of the key over your
As
shoulder,
compared to the
but there's
background
one
or
thing that
overall?
really bugs me. What was that?
As compared to the background or overall?
The background is sharp and consistent, and there's no blotching.
So it actually
in
might
but
be,
every
in
time
fact,
you
the
move,
bit rate of the camera to the computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and also the frame rate, because a couple of times you move your hands across it, and it's like your hands are blurred, and they're like whether it's interlacing or de-interlacing, and
Okay.
that just bugs me. But the other thing that bugs me is this: something going on for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry about
that. And I know I do it as well. I know I do it as well.
This is an important point. So I have a computer over here at a height where I don't have to lean down to look at it. I've got a computer in front of me where I do have to lean down in order to look at it. So I figured you'd want to look at the side of my head more often than you'd want to look at my forehead. It was a conscious choice. But to that point, I could possibly lower I have my camera at eye height when I'm sitting upright or back in my chair. And possibly I could lower the camera so that it's at eye height when I'm leaning forward and working on something.
That camera that's directly in front of you, is that a fixed lens camera?
Yeah.
Or is it autofocus?
No, I mean,
because right now, looking at your eyes are way out of focus, because I can actually see the reflection of the ring light and it's blurred on the surface of your eyes.
Wow, that's a level of precision that I hadn't seen coming.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out how I can observe that same thing by looking to the side and looking at my...
No, I think it's compression. I think because I'm seeing...
By watching the YouTube feedback later?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's the way to do it. Yeah. Let me just pause for a moment and take note of the time.
It's interesting. It's interesting that now that I look at it, your beard is in focus, or part of your beard's in focus, and your eyes are out of focus.
The autofocus is choosing the contrast of the beard to focus.
Yeah, the autofocus is like, oh, the beard is really easy to grab onto. Let's just use that. Like it's a funny thing. So all right. So yeah,
okay.
All right. We're gonna move on.
What is Jason holding up, by the way?
What are you holding up, Jason?
If you don't want to wear makeup, this is really good if you've got a glean on your forehead. Oil absorbing sheets are really cheap, and you can get them at any drugstore. Anyone who's ever been in front of a camera as a model knows that these are just magic, and they work really well.
I'm going to work on my red levels first.
Right.
For the last 3 weeks, it's looked like I've shown up here drunk, which is really aggravating.
All right, Bill. Bill is next.
All right, we're on.
We're on. I think that
orange.
Yeah.
Looks little. What were you gonna say, Chris?
Orange.
Little orange. Yep.
Orange. I've got the ATEM software control color balance here. I haven't been able to do this for myself.
Pull the orange knob down 10%.
Pull the
orange knob
on
there's
general...
no orange knob.
It might be contrast.
Just messing with you.
On Bill's, there should be.
So your lift, where's your lift set? Oh, whoa, there we go.
Whoa, nope.
That's too far. Let's reset that.
I wouldn't start with the specific colors. I would start with just the 3 wheels.
So saturated.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me restore what I start with every morning here before the sun changes, which is right here. Come on.
Ooh,
there we go.
That was nice.
Much better.
That's where it starts. And then I watch
Question, is your t-shirt black?
No, it's green.
Ooh,
I see green.
Oh boy.
It's very deep green.
Because I was going to say your blacks are a little plus green. So no, they're right on.
So where's your lift right now? Is it in the negatives?
It's at 0.01 positive.
Try taking it to 0.02. Just a little.
That's 0.02.
Oh, it's looking
maybe
silly.
A little too. Go back just a little bit, just a hair between.
Well,
the two.
I think this is.
Yeah, you go.
Wait a second. So how is he doing that without getting up and walking over to the
because
camera?
he's able to shade his camera from his.
Not again.
So you might want
It's
to
like magic, isn't it?
If you open the full controller for the ATEM,
I did, and it's open.
Try pulling your contrast back just a little bit. There should be or not contrast, your saturation. There should be a saturation. Yeah, bring your dial
normally
back.
it's at 50 now. Normally I run at about 48 or so. So
yeah, put your sat to 48.
Is that 48 now?
Yeah, I'm at 48 now.
Try going to 45.
Okay. 45.
I think that pulls some of that red out. I think that for me looks a little bit more natural.
Scopes say the flesh line is much better now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is good because I'm going to save the whole thing after we do this.
I didn't just hear that.
Never
mind.
I mean, I think that looks better. I think I like the hair. Sorry?
Yeah, I love the hair light. I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
I think the hair light, if the hair light was a little bit more diffused, you would get it would be a little softer. It's a little hard on your head right now. And so I would try to soften that up or pull it back just a little bit.
Okay, those are two incredibly cheap, newer 160s that I've had for 15 years. Let me see if I switch to there. See way up above me, above the little green roll. Those little newer 160s are my rim light.
But even like a little tent of a something or other, and I put those. Like mine is pretty big, but it's right over my head. Like it's not further away because it'll obviously get a little more sourcey otherwise. All right, next victim is Greg. Greg. All right, let's see here. I will say the since Greg's first visit and currently it's been a huge jump forward. So it was Greg has been slowly improving the process. It feels like every week it's a little bit better than it was before. Or you gonna say something, Greg?
However,
no, it's good. It's I think that I feel like the background's a little dark. It just feels a little, I think that the gray makes sense. I might want to try to do something with it to lighten it up just a little bit.
Well, I'm constantly fighting the window over here. I finally found some black cloth that I normally would have hung up, but it's a pain to do that. Mm-hmm. And then I've got these little Luma cubes up here, and I'm trying to find the right combination of diffusion and possibly some little extra warmth. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So I'm always, and sometimes I think I have something that I like, and then suddenly I don't like it. And
no, I think the lighting actually looks good for the Luma cubes. They're not very big, are they? Are they the little ones?
No, they're tiny. Yeah, they're tiny.
I'm surprised at how good they look. So I mean, they're I always felt like they're really sourcey, but it's lighting you up well. Sky?
But I think I have them on too bright. If I lowered them a bit like that, then I wouldn't have to my brightness is pulled way down.
Oh, right. That could be good.
That's what's making the background so dark.
Since your glasses are already readers, maybe go ahead and tilt them or bring them further down.
Oh, no, here. Yeah.
Because you're getting the reflection of your screen. That's the only distracting thing for me is like your glint in your eye is
he just got rid of it.
I don't see anything, Sky. Dude, what?
You're welcome. Okay, I'll pick on
no,
Colin.
Looks good.
No. You're right. I have to avoid having the white screens open.
Colin needs a haircut, and I love when you brush your beard. That is grooming 101. Thank you.
But overall it feels just a little dark, but I don't know whether it's the background or whether your exposure could probably be, somewhere in the mid area is probably brought up a little bit, but it's good. Yeah. And what are we looking at there, Jason? Let me see.
And since it's a webcam, I don't have a ton of control.
Yeah.
Here's the brightness. I can bring up the brightness a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just giving you scopes, so when you spotlight me, it gets weird.
Nice, Fenwick.
Whose scopes are those?
Oh,
these are Blackmagic. They're hardware scopes.
Right. Gonna buy some.
Yeah, they're useful. All right, very good. Very good. All right, Sky next.
Okay.
Looks good. Another one that keeps moving forward. Go ahead. What do you got there?
Got a ring light again from a guy Cochran. I didn't know we were doing Ruthless Reviews. I blew up my system over the weekend, so this is coming through the 2019 laptop. This is a new laptop since we,
Yeah,
a third laptop. And then the gray, what's the big one that you recommended?
Lazulite.
The Lazulite is awesome. It's so portable, and I got the stand to go with it. But currently, it's just leaning against the wall, less than an arm's length behind me, and a light coming down, the ring light in front, and then one of those CF bulbs off to the left.
Go ahead, Courtney, and then Bill.
Yeah, he seems to be a little bit hot on the left. I don't know if you can dial that down a little bit. I think you're about a half stop.
Yeah, his right, I think.
I like that better.
Right. Yeah.
Little less moody.
That's good.
As far as that goes.
Good.
And we do see the ring light in your glasses.
Yeah, I'll have to
maybe bring it up just a little bit.
Move. Yeah, I can. Oh. Okay, sorry.
Don't lift it too much.
No.
Just a little.
I can't do it because I don't have a.
Ooh, nice tweed.
And then I'd say your hair light is a little high. A little hot.
Yeah, I need to go up higher on that.
That's okay. No, let's
control of that.
Now, good.
My fill, I do have the control of the fill light that I can manually do from my phone. Oh God, that's horrible. No, that's no horrible.
There you go.
Okay, and that's almost at 90% on the fill, which is 4 feet, ring light 4 feet away from my face.
And again, the big thing with the ring light would be get it up a little higher, or your glasses a little lower, to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Copy that.
And yeah, absolutely. Good. Bill, you had a comment?
It was totally about the rim, the hair light. It's getting into the same realm as the top part of your background, so we're losing your hair detail in the gray.
Yeah, so I'd bring that down a little bit or diffuse it.
Intentional. I don't want you to see I see the gray. Okay.
But a stop or two of ND on that would help, and you don't even have to move it.
Yeah, currently the CF bulb is just on a bare bulb. I need some diffusion up there. You're right. And
all right, we're gonna
both.
Good, very good. Next,
away.
Chris Fenwick.
But I do have my skull candies just in case.
Very good, Chris Fenwick. Your slice logo oftentimes shows up underneath things. In case you're wondering. So that's one thing that I would say is that when the logo in that lower corner, it shows up. I know I see it somewhere where I'm like, oh, it's underneath something else that we're doing. So,
but overall, you look really natural and really healthy.
I think that I don't have a lot of comments. There you go. That's perfect. A little higher, right? Just like another. There you go, right there, perfect. There, I love that. I love that.
Freeze.
Almost. You got to align that.
You had your nose lined up with that slash. I know that was great. That was great. All right. I don't have. Yeah, go ahead, Courtney.
You need a little key light on Beethoven or Nietzsche or whoever that is in the background there.
Uh-oh.
It's actually Abraham Lincoln. And it's a long
story.
If
they had a light on it, we could tell that.
We learned more about Bill than we did about Chris in that comment. Beethoven or Nietzsche.
Yeah.
That's a pretty interesting choice of comment.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, I think it's a great frame. I don't have a lot of comments to it.
While you're at it, you're missing some stars on the flag.
Yeah. The depends on which flag. So the but the
Betsy Ross might disagree with you.
I would having a little something so we knew that was Abraham Lincoln would be amazing. Unless that's your purpose is to make us all just look down.
No, it's sitting back there in the dark. I don't know.
Need like a little.
I thought it was a sculpture of dark broccoli.
Lincoln. Yeah,
it was a gift. It was a gift that my mother gave my dad when we moved from Illinois to California. She said, "I don't ever want you to forget where you're from."
Oh, that's
nice.
Good. That's good. Very
the
good.
land of Lincoln.
Good. No, it looks good. Not a lot of comments for Chris.
I have extra gear back there. Alex, do you know what this is right here?
Can't read it.
Do you recognize that white tape around those little black data cards?
That's my show.
It's your media. I have to get back to you.
There we go. Thank you very much. Thanks for keeping those. I was wondering where those went. All right. All right.
Is the
Courtney.
color okay?
Color looks
great.
Good.
Yeah, looks great.
I think it looks good. Yeah, absolutely.
This is, by the way, it's the webcam. It's the C920.
It's great. No,
with the little webcam settings.
It's great. Does it make that noise when you do
Mine
it?
does. I
Oh,
modified
mine
it.
does too.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta get that sound effect in there. All right, Courtney. Let's see here. Let's pop them. Very good. Probably a little more headroom than you need. I think that would be. There we go.
Well, you
I
see,
would have
the
adjusted
problem
that with
is,
more zoom,
but even that,
rather
that's good.
than changing the angle.
well, it's
No,
I don't think I have zoom on this webcam,
No.
but
No, that's better. That's better. And just a little. It's better to, if you lean forward and get cut off a little bit here and there, it's probably fine.
that's a problem. I have a bad back and I'm a leaner, and I can't sit upright for more than about 10
I think
minutes. So I
think
you'll
that's,
always see me leaning back.
Yeah.
Like this, you know.
But it'd be
And,
better to.
and the chair needs a little oil.
No, but I think that otherwise, I think that it's. But even when you lean forward there, it's fine.
Careful for the cat.
Wherever you're most comfortable, I would go ahead and just make sure that, because when someone's naturally falls into that kind of lower area, they just look shorter than they need to be. Yeah, exactly. So just taking and being cut off if you lean forward for a second, I think that's fine. Sky and then Chris.
Curious if you were to change your parallax even maybe like an inch, so your framing around that fireplace back behind you would be even. Now, the other
I don't want you to see all that junk back there.
No, that's fine. Yeah, go ahead and scooch the other direction. No, go the other way.
Oh, I
Right
see.
there. Yeah. See, now you've got a framing thing. But hey, I mean, I love the Emmy. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, the Academy up there. You gotta bring that forward.
Emmy.
Well, I do have. Well, let me see. I might have to mute myself. Well, I probably nobody else has one of these. Hey Google, turn on the award lights.
Got it.
Oh.
Okay. Now,
Courtney
why has that not been on the entire time that you've been on?
Buried
the
Too
lead.
modest.
Buried the lead there. I was like,
You win.
Oh, it
How long
actually.
have you been here, Courtney?
Oh, I'm so happy.
You've held on to that for that long. You play.
Boom.
I'd never
And
play
played
poker
it
with Courtney.
perfectly.
Yeah,
I was too modest to turn those on.
too modest to
Courtney,
show
I
it
was
to show,
about to
but not
suggest
too
the
modest to
Captain
build
Kirk
it.
light.
Yeah, but I think
Nobody's
it
commented
obscures
on the thing.
statue.
Pardon me?
I think it obscures the statue.
Yeah, well, the
Can't
word
see the
behind
shape.
it kind of lights up too much.
And the
to
chat room
zoom.
blew up with that, by the way.
Yeah,
Okay. I've got it
As
covered
it
up right
should
now
have.
with my webcam settings. Yeah,
That's
nobody's
great.
commented on the audio playback device that's underneath it, but
Player
Is that a
piano.
Victrola?
I mean, no, it's a
no, it's an
record
Edison
player.
New Londoner diamond disc player.
Courtney, is that
Wow.
your front door over your left shoulder?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That must be very convenient for Amazon packages.
yes, yes, it is.
No, it's-
You
Although
gotta
both
lean
the-
back.
Hang on a sec. I
That's the
got to
door
get the
back.
door.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments? I think you look a little red. In the shot.
I am a little red. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My problem is my lighting is I out cheap Colin from the 99-cent store. This is the entire extent of my lighting. And
Right.
the problem is when we start the show, I have one lamp on over here, so tungsten
Right.
illumination, then the sun comes up, the color
Right.
shifts to daylight, and so
Yeah.
the fill light is daylight. So
Yeah, that's
to
great.
balance for that.
Bill, real quick, and then we're gonna move
Yeah,
on.
that's the only thing for me is that everything looks pretty yellow around you, and then you're not yellow, and that's just the tungsten daylight split from that LED. So I don't know whether there's any way to.
Well,
to warm
today,
up. Yeah.
today the sun wasn't coming. Usually the sun comes blaring through this, between 6 and 9. It moves up and then
Yep.
out, so it
Yep.
changes
Yeah.
constantly. I got to hire a couple of grips with some CTO and some CPD.
Exactly.
out there.
Courtney,
Then you'll be
I
set.
bought a couple of these the other day. It's called a lamp UX. See if I can get the glare right on that.
Mhm.
I bought them at Home Depot. They were like $12.
Yeah.
Man, it started. Man, they started at like $100, right? $150.
This
each,
is
and now they're down to
$12. It
$12.
has Wi-Fi built into it. You don't need any sort of a hub or a controller. You put it in any lamp, and it comes with
Is it multicolor? Is it RGB
yes,
or is it
you
just?
can change the color
Yeah.
of it. So
I have
what I
several of
did
those,
is I
yeah.
put one on a lamp in the living room, and I have it set at red. And from my phone, I can turn it on to tell the family, "Hey, can you be a little more quiet?"
Oh, that's
if I'm
good.
doing something
That's good.
where I need to be quiet.
All right, we're gonna have to speed up because otherwise we're not gonna get to everybody.
12 bucks.
Vipul, you're up. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Vipul here.
Really?
It looks good. It looks good. So you've got the nice gray background. You've got, and you're using the that's the Pyle mic. You really have that. Can you turn sideways and let us see how you're using how you bent it? Turn the other way. Oh, you got the two. Oh, yeah, over 2 ears. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
But
a
you said
2 ear.
it pulls up a little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
And then
it goes up like that. Even if
Oh, got
when
it.
I move, it goes up like that.
Right. Okay. And but I think the lighting is good. I think that the gray background is nice.
I haven't done anything for the lighting. It's just my room lights.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Any comments? I don't have a lot of correction there. I mean, I think that it looks really nice. Go ahead, Chris. You're muted, Chris.
Sometimes I get muted. If I was shading this shot, I would pull the blacks down just a touch, and I would push the chroma a tiny bit, just a little.
This is 5D Mark IV. I actually don't have any control over it to do anything on this. But I need to go manually.
How do you get the 5D Mark IV? What hardware do you get it, the 5D4 into your computer
I
with?
use
USB
Canon,
straight out.
Yeah, I use Canon's webcam utility, so it straight away comes to Zoom as a camera.
And does it not have the ability? And is it Mac or PC?
It's PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
anything
Mac too.
about software.
No, there is an application which I can use to control the camera remotely, but when I turn on the webcam utility, there is a conflict.
Yeah, I mean it looks good, but again, those are just two tiny little adjustments I would do if this was in an edit I was cutting.
Mickey.
Thank you.
Mickey is next. Let's see where Mickey has to cut to himself. There we go.
And my setup hasn't changed since.
It looks good. It looks
April
good.
or May.
I like it because you can see all the things that are going on there. You got the stuff down the side, and then
I have my electric bill and.
I mean, the background feels like it's a little darker than it could be. I mean, you could probably lighten up the background just a touch, the shelves in the background, maybe just a little bit of something soft, but I don't think it is necessary. You pop out. What webcam are you using?
It's just my MacBook Pro.
Right.
I think 720p webcam.
Yeah, it's little grainy. I mean, it looks like it's underlit a little bit there. I mean, it's like just grainy because you don't have a ton of light there.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like the frame. I'm very used to it, and I like the way it looks. It's the Mickey look. Bill.
Yeah, very much too. I like everything. I think I might put some kind of lamp back behind you just so you get a little rim light on your shoulders, because that's the one thing. Your shoulders against the dark background and your hair against the top of the blue background behind you. We lose your shape a little bit.
In a small window, you're kind of just you're a floating Mickey
face,
head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's which maybe maybe that's what you decided you want to do, but a little rim light might be nice back there somewhere. But otherwise, I think it looks good. I like the framing again. The vanishing points from the monitors kind of focus in back on your head, which I think works well. Vipul and then Sky, real quick. We're gonna keep moving.
I was just a little distracted by the glare on the cupboard, the doors on the cupboard on the right ear of Mickey. Yeah, I'm just little.
Yeah, I actually I forgot who I was talking to, but someone mentioned like I should point the lamp there just so that there's some separation. But of course, it looks like glare.
Right. Yeah, I think it looks more like glare than a separation. I would rather put something on your hair and shoulders than put something there, but it does look a little glary. Go ahead, Sky, real quick.
I know you're using that book light idea of bouncing the idea off the plastic. That
exactly. Yeah, I have that.
That's what
thing
you get.
here.
I'm
that works.
Also curious about the touch up my appearance settings in Zoom and who's been using that, and if they see a difference.
We got to keep moving forward, just reviewing ones for now.
on.
But bring that question up tomorrow, and we can talk through it. Go ahead. Okay, next Guy is our next victim. Guy.
Hello. For those of you playing at home, I'll show you kind of the lighting. Here's just with the ring light off. That's the key light, and that's with the background light off. And then I have a hair light that is hitting my head and shoulders. And let me get to that app, and I can change that one to off or on. And then I have a little fill light right here. That's the last one.
I hope you decorate your house well
at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So then this one can go, let's see, a little more
if you
orange.
don't, your family's gonna hate you.
I think the only thing, I don't have anything to say other than my only complaint is that this isn't connected to a voice command like Courtney's.
I just got showed up by Google. Hey, Google.
gotta go. You gotta go show lighting, and then just have it just go boom. Like show me just the rim. Show me just the.
I gotta
Guy,
go get some
what are
Emmys
you
first.
using? What are you using to turn on and off all those lights? What are you doing?
This is a little app called Firelight. It comes with the ring light, and then the other one is Lytra's app. I don't know. Well, you can see that, but basically it just controls intensity and then color, and you can go choose any color of the rainbow on each of these.
That's great. No, it looks good. Looks really good.
Yeah, and then I got Pocket 6K on this one with the Sigma 18 to 35, and I am shading it. And what else is on here? That's about it. Oh yeah, and then the teleprompter, which I kind of show you guys what the
That
system
teleprompter
looks.
to me just makes all the difference in the world. I just being able to look into the eyes and you get to see the screen.
Yeah, so that's where the ring light is, and then that's my view of that prompter right there, and then there's the Stream Deck and the Mix Pre and
Guy's main shot is a clinic on why a side rim light here really helps, because look at how well his left side, even though that's a blue shirt against a blue background, that bright rim that's soft is making his whole shape.
Yeah, that's what kickers
Pop.
do perfectly.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's why we
Colin,
put the
Colin,
essential
real
lights
quick.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep
I'm
moving.
just trying to figure out what's the story with the light it's bouncing off of. That's your chair. That's the back of your chair that it's bouncing off of.
this right here is a Windows
Yeah.
PC. Do you recognize it?
Oh, no, I didn't recognize it. I could have sworn that was just the back of a chair.
You've been hanging on the Mac for too long.
No,
because
you're
the dark
obscuring
side.
all of
We have
all of the
cookies.
UI elements.
Okay. We're gonna have to keep moving. We're
It's
running out of
interesting.
time.
But
We're running out of
very
time.
quickly, for Vipul, you could add OBS to your video chain, and you'd be able to make the adjustments that that Chris was suggesting.
Yeah,
filtering adjustments.
Yep. Stuart is next. Let's see here. So
I'll just unmute myself so I don't panic. Oh wow! See, I've put the view screen to like full screen there so I can actually see it, and it's like I'm normally not looking at myself. My camera is square in front of me, and I put a window for whoever's spotlighted above that on the two screens, so I can look past my camera to whoever was talking before. When I see myself, I look at the lens, or I try to.
Now, is your background green? It feels a little green.
It's kind of a greenish yellow. It's just some cloth drop sheets that I had that are actually over the top of a black piece of Dove that's on the frame that I used to hang the green screen on.
Like a muslin?
Just thin bit of cotton. Yeah,
Okay.
so nothing special. At the moment, my lighting is a couple of these sorts of things, which mount on a regular sort of, not even a junior pin, the one that's smaller. Only I've actually got slightly larger ones on there, which are Osram, whereas these are Philips. And I've noticed that even though they're supposed to both be the same color temperature, there is a slight difference between the Philips and the Osrams. And I have a single, let's say it's like a downlight thing, but it's got an LED replacing the dichroic globe that used to be in it. That's about 7.5 watts, and it's coming through a piece of diffuser. Just to
overall,
soften
it feels
down. So that's
overall it feels a little dark. Compared to everyone else.
Scopes say gain up.
Gain up. Well, hang on. Let's just go across to vMix and gain. I was actually about to ask Jason if he could put your scopes up on. Yeah, there we go. Because I've got my Shogun sitting on the output of vMix, so I can look at my scopes.
We're running out of time.
That's putting the red to about 100% now. So
Can you lower your lights so they're getting in your eyes more? Because they're really top lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably could, but I would actually be knocking stuff off the top of another computer to do it. So I'm actually going to be replacing these lights with something hanging on the wall.
I think that might be it. It's just that they're a little toppy. It's just a little the lighting's a little toppy into one side. So it's I think that's what's having it feel a little darker.
There is a piece of white card here to bounce on the other side from that top light.
I might try to bounce it more, to fill that side a little bit more, but something to think about. Chris, comfort, next victim. I don't have anything to add. It looks good. Like we've talked about this one again. I like the side lighting, the front lighting. It's a good frame. I mean, if anything, I would try to soften the background a little bit more, but it would be like, that's like fine tuning because everything else looks good.
My curtain is caught on the couch, couch can be moved.
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
But no, I think it looks great. Chris, you were gonna say?
That's the only thing I would do is I would define what the curtains are actually doing. They seem like they're having their own party.
Yeah. I didn't know we were doing this today, so
Yeah.
that's why I tried
it's
to
all good.
duck out,
but... now you know it's never safe. Mondays are never safe.
And,
you never
and
know
Chris,
what's gonna happen.
what camera is it?
This is the one that Phil let me borrow. It's I pulled it up here because I keep forgetting. It's a Sony FDR AX100. It's a 4K handycam.
Yeah.
Right.
And Chris,
ATEM Mini.
Is this your normal sitting position?
Yeah.
You sit usually back further more because you
I
might be able to give yourself just a little more headroom, fractionally more.
I mean, I can just, but I have that line coming out.
Maybe halfway in between that.
Yeah.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's good. Looks
One
great.
person that does not need a haircut.
We got a new vocal exercise.
No, I do
now.
need one actually.
Colin and Chris's curtains are caught
All
on
right.
the
We're
couch.
running low on time. Stephen Kimbrough. Okay. So
Stephen has the same background as Colin.
I might soften that background a little bit more. Is that physical or is it a key?
It's
Is it a
physical.
key? It's physical. Yeah.
It looks like a noisy key in the lower right hand corner.
Yeah. It's a little grainy down there, but that would be a great key because it's the hair details there. How far back behind you is that background?
About 9 inches.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if there was any way to get a little more space there, also I would try to bring your key light down just a little bit. You're a little bit toppy, and I would just try to bring it down about 10 degrees, and I think that would light up your face better. Go ahead, Sky.
The image is so crisp by comparison. I mean, just your
what's
face.
the webcam?
It's the Conftel, and I got that just to compare that to the Brio.
Right.
And the thing I like about it most is I can hang it from the top.
Oh, interesting.
And it auto flips.
But it's so crisp by comparison. I mean, the compression, Chris Fenwick is a little fuzzy. Chris Comfort is kind of sharp, but you're like in the room for me.
Good. But I think trying to get the background a little further away and bringing that light down a little bit are the two big things that I would do with that. Otherwise, I think it's definitely getting there.
This isn't where I normally am. I moved into the back closet.
Right.
So we can do stuff in the front room. So this room is 6 feet across.
Right. It just sounds like a personal problem.
Yeah, it is. It's called a wife, and I need this cleaned up.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Roscoe is next.
All right,
I would say your camera's too low, Roscoe.
Yeah, I'd want to bring
Too
my
low?
camera.
I don't like seeing ceilings.
I'm on top of a video assist right now in a box and another box and another. I can get up there. Yeah.
The two things is that there you go. Yeah.
Get up
Normally,
there?
yep.
All right.
Yep. We normally try to get the camera at least at line with the eyes, same height.
Right.
And so it's a little below that.
Let's see. I've got a light kit. I'll put that underneath. There we go. Now I'm on top of a video assist and a light. Yeah. All right. Now my big reveal, it was going to be I put a backdrop in and now it's not there. So.
And then so getting up a little higher. It does look like it's the overall it's a little underlit. Just looks like your camera's not. Is it just the built-in?
It's just the built-in MacBook Pro. But here, let me switch to the other one. You can. This is a 1C. Whoops! Did turn myself off. 1C.
Oh, you froze.
Ooh, color's way off. But
the color is very green.
That's the 1C.
Definitely looks sharper.
I like that one sharpness better.
But yeah, this also illustrates why the 1C, the problem we have with it is a lot wider angle. So we see your closet and see other things there. It's the wider angle is not as great.
Right. Okay.
But good. Good. But I a little higher there. I think that the lighting works. There's a lot going on, behind you. So it's just a matter of.
Okay. My big reveal was I actually had a gray background up until about 10 minutes ago. And then I was just going to reach back and pull it down. Well, it came down on its own.
Oh, I see.
And it has wrinkles in it, that kind of stuff. But really, the face lighting and that kind of stuff is all I need.
Yeah. No, I think the face lighting looks good. I think that it's. I mean, again, I feel like I would try to get. I bet you both cameras would do better with a little bit more light, like just overall.
Okay.
It feels like they're adjusting to not having they're gaining up on their own a little bit.
Now
That's
there's
better.
as much light as I can throw in there. Go ahead,
Right.
Chris.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Both
real quick.
cameras seem like they're tilted just a little bit in the same direction. So it might be the desk, or it might be whatever.
Yeah, it's probably all
right,
the
that's
boxes
it.
up on top
Something
of
like
it.
that, or
Yeah.
halfway in between.
Yeah.
Thank
It looks
you.
now a
Yeah.
little tilted the other way. Go ahead, Sky, real quick.
I like that image better. I have to ring off to another call.
All right.
Thank
see
you
ya.
for everything.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. Thanks
Awesome
for letting
day.
me jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Roscoe. Jonty, are you ready? All right, let's see here. Okay, so obviously just a little dark on one side. So you want to, like we would want to light that up a little bit if we could, just over your shoulder. One side is lit and the other one, and we caught you off guard. You got here and had no idea that we were going to start reviewing people. Yeah. But we would, we would light that up a little bit more on that one side. I think in general, a little bit, again, something that can separate you from the background there would be good. Did you have any questions?
Yeah. So today, really, I didn't necessarily ready. So I wasn't sure how this Zoom goes. So
yeah. We love having you here. So it is great. It is great that you are here. And if you want to come back anytime, please come back and join us. And if you come early, so if you come at 6 when we start, so an hour earlier than when we planned it, anytime you want review or to look at it, or you have any questions about your setup, feel free to jump in a little early, and we're happy to talk to you about it.
All right.
It is a pleasure to have you here.
Okay, well, praise murakoze cyane.
Do please come back and visit us as often as you can.
Yeah, you have to give us a report from how things are going. Now, do you know Ryan?
Yeah, you know Ryan. Ryan
right.
is our senior instructor, and
Yeah.
Christopher Murray is our director. Yeah.
Well, you tell Ryan and Chris that I said hi.
Okay, I'll tell them.
All right, very good. And we hope to see you again.
Okay, my pleasure.
Will you come join us again?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to we're a little heavy, running a little late. So thank you everyone for staying through that. And the Ruthless Reviews, we decided not to do them every week, a little too much, but it's definitely made we've jumped a huge way if we go back to the last ones, as far as the quality overall. So it's quite a little thing. So tomorrow, again, Mike Moding was.
We're still spotlighted on Janty.
Oh, yep. Did we lose Mickey there?
I think we might have.
Let me see here.
There you go.
No, we're good.
Is it all good now? All right. Thanks everybody. Thank you to everyone who comes. Again, as always, the attendees did a great job at asking lots of questions. The panelists did a great job of discussing those questions. Remember tomorrow. Go ahead and hit it, Mickey. Tomorrow, Mike Moding is going to be here talking about sound mixing and editing. Yeah, it's going to be great. So definitely, it's going to be fantastic. Chris Summers, last camera day with us on Wednesday, and then we're going to have Eric Howell talking about music videos on Thursday. So and education on Friday and Saturday. Final cut on Saturday. So lots of fun stuff coming up. All right, thanks everybody. See you later.